A catastrophic wall of water, mud and debris has ripped through Nepal's Himalayan border region, wiping out homes, destroying bridges and leaving hundreds of people missing. What began high in the mountains turned into a fast-moving disaster that swept through communities near Nepal's border with Tibet, and rescue crews are now racing against time to find survivors. Authorities say at least 157 people have been confirmed dead in Nepal, while hundreds more remain unaccounted for as the scale of the destruction continues to emerge. The disaster struck Nepal's northern Razawa district, affecting communities including Sayapra-Baisai and Timur, close to the Tibetan border. Powerful floodwaters rushed through valleys along the Boat Koshi River system, sweeping away houses, vehicles, roads, bridges and critical infrastructure. Rescue operations have been extremely difficult. In some of the hardest-hit areas, river levels were reportedly too high for helicopters to land safely, forcing emergency teams to work through damaged roads, thick mud and unstable terrain. Nepalese police, military personnel and other emergency crews have been deployed throughout the disaster zone. The number of missing people is also raising international concern. Authorities say hundreds of tourists and travelers have been reported missing, including visitors from the United States, India, Australia, Britain, Canada and several other countries. Many people were traveling through the Himalayan region for trekking or religious pilgrimages when the disaster struck. Earlier figures from Nepal's tourism board listed hundreds of Nepali and foreign travelers as out of contact, although officials are still working to determine how many may simply be stranded without communication rather than missing in the flood itself. The disaster has also severely damaged Nepal's transportation and energy networks. Officials reported washed-out roads and bridges, while hundreds of megawatts of hydroelectric generating capacity were affected. Damage to roads and communication systems is making it even harder for rescuers to reach isolated communities. But one of the biggest questions remains: what caused such an enormous flood to appear so suddenly? Preliminary assessments indicate that a massive collapse of ice, rock or debris high in the Himalayan region may have triggered the disaster. Reuters reported that investigators believe a major mud and rock collapse entered the river system, creating a powerful surge downstream. Other preliminary assessments have examined whether a small earthquake contributed to a glacier or avalanche collapse. Scientists are still studying exactly what happened, so the precise chain of events has not yet been confirmed. The Himalayas are particularly vulnerable to these kinds of cascading disasters. An earthquake, landslide, avalanche or glacier collapse can suddenly dump enormous quantities of rock, ice and water into a narrow valley. That can create a destructive flood moving downstream with very little warning. The affected region has experienced serious flooding before as well. Nepalese government records show that the Boat Koshi region suffered another major glacial flood in 2025, underscoring the continuing vulnerability of communities along the river corridor. Authorities are now warning communities downstream to remain alert and move away from dangerous riverbanks where necessary. Nepal's government has said rescue, medical care, food and shelter for those affected are priorities as emergency operations continue. Across the border, Tibet has also suffered major destruction. Chinese authorities reported deaths and hundreds of people missing in Jirong County, while search teams were mobilized there as well. For families waiting for information, however, the numbers tell only part of the story. Entire communities have been torn apart. Families are searching for relatives. Travelers remain unaccounted for. And rescuers are entering areas where roads, bridges and communications have been wiped away. The full extent of this disaster may not be known for some time. Our thoughts are with the victims, their families, the missing and the rescue teams working under extremely dangerous conditions. What do you think governments in vulnerable Himalayan regions should do to improve early warning systems for disasters like this? Share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for continuing updates on major stories from around the world.